Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Burnt Brass Homestead channel. There have been many reports of baby formula shortages and recalls. Well, I had a very interesting conversation with my mom, and I was a little surprised as to what she told me about baby formula in her younger years. But before we get into that, let's look at a bit of history. Prior to the creation of baby formulas, breastfeeding was the most common way to feed a child, whether this was done by the child's natural mother or a wet nurse, whether the wet nurse was paid for their services or a result of slave labor. This practice always existed. You can read Exodus chapter 2 for an example of this practice in biblical times. However, if a mother could not breastfeed or did not have access to a wet nurse, they would give the child cow, sheep, donkey, or goat milk. I have even read that orphanages kept lactating goats on site for infants that were left in their custody. The milk supplement was created in the mid to late 1800s by a chemist and professor named Liebig. Please excuse the mispronunciation. It consisted of cow's milk, wheat, malt flour, and potassium bicarbonate. Soon others entered the market using Liebig's formula as a base. Evaporated milk was later created, which had a longer shelf life than fresh milk. This allowed for numerous baby formula brands to emerge. So, the conversation I had with my mom was due to the baby formula shortage and the news discouraging mothers from using homemade baby formula recipes. Yet, they provided no real solution for those mothers who could not find baby formula in the stores or markets. Baby formula didn't always exist, and not everyone had a wet nurse to call. What happened back in the days when mothers unfortunately died at childbirth, or when mothers simply could not produce milk? She then revealed to me that she did not breastfeed my oldest brother, nor did she buy the commercial formula. Instead, she made his baby formula using evaporated whole milk, water, and light Carol's syrup. This very recipe was recommended by pediatricians in the 1930s and 40s. I also have an old book, which to my surprise had a formula for infants called PAP and was used in the 1700s through the 1900s. However, this recipe seems to really lack in nutrients. However, I am not a doctor, so do not take my word for any of this. Consult a pediatrician. Also, how does the United States seem to have a baby formula shortage? But just across the border, there is no shortage. There are videos of Americans and public officials traveling to Mexico documenting how their shelves were stocked with baby formula. I guess the purpose of this video is to put in perspective the relatively short existence of baby formula on the markets, yet we have allowed it to have a profound impact on our lives. Its early stages of development were in the late 1880s. It was further developed and commercialized in the 1920s. Baby formula was highly publicized and readily available in 1959. But it was not until the 1970s that a program like WIC were founded to make it affordable to low-income families. And standards weren't even passed until the 1980s. 40 years later, we are completely dependent on infant formulas. It is important to note that a lot of babies did die in the early days, before the age of 1. But this wasn't necessarily due to homemade baby formulas. This was mainly due to bacterial contaminations of unpasteurized, unrefrigerated milk, and hard to clean feeding vessels. These issues are virtually eliminated when breastfeeding or properly sterilizing and refrigerating bottles. Did you ever question why baby formula is a billion-dollar industry? After all, most mothers can breastfeed for free. Only a small percentage of women actually need to purchase baby formula. Even working mothers can pump enough milk to send with the babies to the daycare. Incentives and ads. The baby formula industry leaders gave incentive to doctors who promoted their formula. Doctors would give new mothers samples of the baby formula, while the baby formula industry aired crafty advertisements drawing moms to the baby formulas. Meanwhile, if the mother uses these free samples of baby formula, how long did it last? Were there enough samples to last the mother a few weeks? And how long can a mother go without breastfeeding her baby before her body stops producing milk? Will the baby's palate be conditioned to take the formula and reject the breast milk? I participated in an at-home birth. The first thing the midwife did after the baby was born was assist in cleaning mucus from the nose and mouth. The baby was then placed on the mother's bare chest for that skin-to-skin contact, and both the baby and the mother was covered for warmth. The baby and mother rested a bit. The umbilical cord was cut. Then later, the baby was breastfeeding. While I believe there are mothers out there that truly need infant formula, I believe most of the demand for the formula is due to doctors pushing the product for incentives and baby formula industry advertising false claims, when instead, doctors should highly recommend breastfeeding children. Please do your own research on this topic, as I am nowhere near an expert in this area.